When I was 3 years old, the second Gulf War broke out in Israel, and we were terrified that Saddam Hussein is going to shoot mustard gas at us.
But what about the Palestinians?
Can I finish my... I'm just talking about how I got shot with rockets. What about the Palestinians?
We're not the real Jew of Israel.
What do you mean we're not the real Jew of Israel?
Tribe to 13 tribes, what was spoke about in the book. This land that's like not yours. People are dying. It's not no joke.
But listen...
I'm from Miami, dude.
Just be quiet. Leave him alone. Let me explain to you why we're joking about this. I don't know how you grew up. I don't know what happened to you in your life. But I grew up in a war. And then I went to Germany, and I grew up in a village where I got chased down by Nazis every week. So I do comedy to deal with that. I do comedy about things that are so tragic that the only way for me to deal with them is laugh or go insane. I have a right on that. Same way as you have a right to make jokes about your own tragedies.
This is Jeremiah 49:10. But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren, and his neighbors, and he is not. Shalom Akim, Halal, Yahawah, Bashem Yahawashi, Bashem Qadash. Double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect, who the house of David be born again in this generation. And shalom to the 1/3 of Yasharallah, who today are known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who before losing our true heritage, we were known as, and still are, the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. So at the video you just watched, we seen Amalek, right? Amalek being the so-called Jews, right, over in the land of Israel today. That's their biblical name, right? But realistically, biblically they're known as the Edomites, right? And of the Edomites, they're referred to as Amalek, right? The top tribe of Edom. Now, like you just seen in this video, this was a comedy show, right? I'm not sure where it was. I'm guessing it was over in Europe, probably someplace. But either way, it didn't seem like it was in the States, right? The one guy in the crowd who actually came out and told Amalek that was on stage that he brought up the whole Palestine debacle, right? And if you're not aware of what that means, Palestine is basically this. This is the green part is talking about all the Arabs or Ishmaelites, right, as they're biblically known, or so-called Palestinians who used to inhabit this land before it was taken over by Edom, right, the so-called Jews, or the Amalekites, also known as Edomites. Basically, Edom gifted this land into their own hands. And if you look at the Bible timeline, right, let's go to the Bible timeline. This happened during World War II, or after World War I, excuse me. You had something known as the Balfour Declaration. All right, let's read it here. It says, the declaration was issued by the British governor during World War I, declaring the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine, then an Ottoman region with the minority Jewish population. Now, like I said here, right, the Ottoman Empire it came from the Ottoman Empire which was made up of Ishmael, Arabs, and so-called Edomites, okay? And they dwelt in that land and they took over it, okay? And what happened is eventually that land fell into Britain's control after World War I. And then, so what happened is this guy here, the Rothschild, right? Who this letter was written to from, this is Alfred Balfour, I believe his name, right? He actually was the ex-prime minister of England, who eventually became a governor afterwards, but he ultimately was bought by the money powers. And during World War II, before World War II broke out, and the Nazis took over Germany, right? Hitler was in power. He had started to come up. He had started to initiate all these new political policies. One thing that he did is that he socialized all the banks. One of these banks, or these series of banks, belonged to this guy here. I forgot his name. He was Nicholas Rothschild, or he was one of the Rothschilds, right? And he was also imprisoned in Germany. Well, eventually, his connections in Britain, Balfour and other people that he knew of, and ultimately it was the prince or one of somebody connected in the royal family actually requested from Hitler to release this Rothschild guy. He eventually got released. He went to Britain, but this whole time, this Rothschild was basically lobbying to get, to have the Britons and also the Americans go to war with Hitler, right? It's all part of ALEK's scheme. But the point being is that through legislation, this guy here, Alfred Balfour, got it passed and basically declared through the Balfour Declaration, which is an image here, that the British-controlled land of Palestine would be divided up, and made into a so-called home for the Jewish people. Now again, the Jewish people is a made-up people, right? Like the guy in the crowd said, they are the 13th tribe, right? Knowing, basically referring to the book by author Closer, talking about that if the Jewish people were in fact of the tribe of Israel, there would have to be a 13th tribe, because they don't exist in the original 12 tribes, right? And when you get into it, it's been proven that these people, right, the majority of the so-called Jews in the land of Israel today, they descend from the Khazarians, right, of the land of Khazaria, which basically was right above the Caucasus Mountains, right? This is where Edom, around 200 or 400 BC, 200 or 400 AD, fled up to the Caucasus Mountains and stayed there, right? Well, Amalek, the top tribe of Edom, eventually conquered the northern part of the Caucasus Mountains, spread out, and became known as the Khazars, and then eventually would be referred to as the Ashkenazi and stuff. But they eventually were destroyed by the Kievan Rus, right? Which are the progenitors for the Russians today. Okay, and as you can see, Khazaria was surrounded by Orthodox Christianity and also Islam, right? Right here, this is the Ottoman Empire that was coming up and stuff, right? But again, that's what this guy was basically being told, was being told, is that when he tried to come up with some sympathy, people are tired of Amalek's his sob story, right? Like, oh, poor us, we're getting rockets thrown at us, when the whole world sees that when they get bombed by dumb rockets, right? Because they don't have like smart rocket technology, they're just basically just randomly shooting rockets into this land of Israel, right, and hitting people, right? People see how Israel comes back, bombs the shit out of these Palestinians, and through time have taken over the land over and over again, right? They basically went into the land as refugees, and eventually ended up taking it over, right? And it all happened right away, right? 1947. You could just see how everything was divided up, and then eventually 20 years later they took over this land. And when you look at 2020, and it's even less than this now, right? And when you look at the videos and the way that the Palestinians are treated, which by the way, Ishmael shouldn't even be in this land, right? It's not even his land, right? This land belongs to the Israelites, us Negro, Latino, and Native Americans. This is our homeland, but we're not going to be given this land until the Lord comes back and puts us in this land again. And that is another thing that proves that these Israelis, right, this comedian, these aren't the people, right? Because they put themselves in that land by their own hand, by their own trickery of bureaucracy and legislation and all that type of stuff, right? This is why the world is still at war. There's no peace in that land. And the thing is now people are starting to rise up against them, which is why the scriptures say that the Lord has made Esau bare, right? Because Edom, the so-called Caucasians, including these Jewish people, because again, they are simply just Caucasians that pretend to be of a different race, but they're the exact same people, which is why they look exactly like your American Caucasians, your English Caucasians, your Australian Caucasians. They look exactly the same because they are the same people, okay? Now, that being said, let's watch this.
You are the real Jew. You are the real Jew.
What is it?
Against the Prime Minister of Israel. We are for Gaza.
You're for Gaza, the Gaza Strip?
Palestine, yes.
Oh, okay.
We are against the state of Israel at all.
Are you said you're for Gaza?
Yes, we are against the state of Israel.
You're against the state of Israel?
Yes, we believe, the Jewish belief is against the state of Israel.
Are you for the real return of the real children of Israel?
We believe that all Israel need to be returned to the Palestinians.
Do you know that the black man in America is Israel? That he's Jews? Do you know that?
Yes, yes.
So you see that? You even have ALEK here saying that that these so-called Negroes are the real Jews, right? And again, it's not only them that say this, right? There's plenty of videos, which I'm not going to go into. We've all have seen this before, right? Seen these videos showing that the truth is starting to come out, that these people are not the people of the Bible, okay? And again, this was prophesied in the Bible that this would happen, right? This is Ezekiel 36:2. Thus saith Yahawah, our power, because the enemy hath said against you, Aha, even the ancient high places are ours in possession, right? And that's funny, right? Because when you understand like the how can I put it, the accents of these ALEK, you know, the so-called Jewish people, don't they say aha, right? Look at that, right? So it's funny, right? But the point being is that this prophecy is playing out now, right? These people have basically given this land into their own hands, okay? This is jumping down to verse 5. It says, therefore thus saith Yahawah, our power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Edom, which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart. And see, so there you go. So these people here, they don't fit the prophecies of the Israelites. They fit the prophecies of ALEK, of Edom. Because why? Well, because they are Edom. These are the wicked that the Bible speak of. Okay? And what's happening now, right, with that guy in the crowd calling this Amalekite out and not caring that he was giving his sob story, and you know, when ALEK was there trying to divert from the statements that were made, because one, they probably don't even know. They really probably in their heart think that they are the real people, but eventually this truth is going to get so far out that they're going to get, they're going to have to answer, right? They're going to have to answer and try to explain why they don't fit the prophecies. Why are these other people that do fit the prophecies saying that they're the Israelites? And eventually they're not going to be able to answer. And then that's when the whole world is going to start to question things. And again, you're starting to see the world is now starting to question what you're seeing, right? And again, this is all part of the Israelites, the Negro, Latino, Native Americans, and anybody whose father's lineage goes back to that bloodline are starting to stand up and wake up, fulfilling this prophecy, Revelations 11:11. And after 3 days and a half, the Spirit of life of God entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them, right? And this is talking about how after 350 years, give or take, that of us being in hard bondage, the Negro, Latino, Native Americans we would remember ourselves, as it tells you in Barak chapter 2, I believe, right? It says, in the land of their captivity, they shall remember themselves. Well, that's what's happening now, right? The Lord has now, put the truth of the Bible, right? The Spirit of life, right? Which is also the breath of life, which is, again, the Holy Spirit, which again is the understanding, the truth of the Bible. He's put it back into, us, his people, right? And because of that, we're now waking up from the spiritual sleep, right? The spiritual dead state that we were in. And we're now starting to stand upon our feet. Not saying that we're literally standing up, but that spiritually we're starting to stand up. We're starting to claim who we were. We're trying to, we're starting to claim our heritage back, right? Which is rightfully ours, right? And these devils can't do anything about it because, again, as we stand up, we make these declarations, we go out to the highways and byways and make these videos and put it out. You know, at first it's going to be it's a joke, right? We've been seeing lots of people out there trying to make fun of this movement, you know, and it's on comedy shows. It's, you know, we get derided, you know, from all these people who try to come up against this. But the thing is that the truth, you know, eventually stands, right? What is it in I think it's in First Ezra talks about what is more powerful, the king, the woman, or the truth. You know, the thing is, the king, the woman, or wine. And eventually Zerubbabel, right, the de facto ruler of Israel during that time, he comes out and says, you know what, the biggest strength is ultimately the truth, right? Because truth standeth, and that's ultimately what's going on right now. The truth is standing up, right? And it's declaring that the Negro, Latino, and Native Americans are the Israelites. This is why you see so many people coming out and standing up for truth, right? They're coming out, you know, and at a show, a comedy show, you know, they're even throwing it at ALEK's face, right? And it's at a venue where this thing really isn't even supposed to be talked at, but because the Lord has made Esau bare, these Edomites can't hide themselves. They can't hide behind their sad stories, look at, you know, woe is me spirits. Nobody cares about that shit, right? And they have to divert, and basically you had all these people there who didn't really understand what was going on, telling that guy to shut up, and you know. But the thing is pretty soon this truth is going to get to the point where you're already starting to see what they're trying to do. They're going to try to silence this truth, right? Over in Ireland, you could be jailed or fined for speaking non-mainstream media news, right? They're trying to, the EU is now with its, you know, UN powers that have been, you know, usurped by them, are trying to bring those authoritarian laws of you know, to quell free speech upon the whole internet, right? You're also starting to see hate speech is being made more of a common term here in America, right? And they're going after supposed white supremacists, which really is only the government going after the so-called patriots, the people who would basically stand up, or who would be more likely to stand up to the government, right? Which is why they're being targeted, right? It has nothing to do about white people saying they're the best, right? Even though you know, they do think that. It has nothing to do with that. But what it is that these people who would be labeled so-called white supremacists would generally be the people who would stand up and go against the government during the time of a coup, which is what's currently happening in this government, or this, you know, America right now, right? And this is why you have weird situations where you have a Hispanic, right, an Israelite being declared as a white supremacist when he's clearly not a white person, right? Because what's happening is his views and everything were anti-government. Okay, this is simply the government coming after the people before the people come after the government type of thing, right? But again, that's a whole other story. But yeah, so back to this, man. These Edomites, you know, especially those in power, they're seeing that us Israelites, we're waking up, we're standing upon our feet, and fear is falling upon them, right? This is hence why they're making these anti-hate speech laws. They're, you know, trying to stop free speech on the internet, and like the Akim have been saying, right? Pretty soon they're gonna more likely shut down the internet, right? This is why you've been seeing cyber attack warnings and all these type of things, and like I've said it before, man, they're more likely gonna take down the internet as we know it, and what's gonna come up in its place is gonna be something that's locked down. You're gonna need some sort of ID to get onto it, like it's done over in China and now Australia, and pretty soon it's gonna be worldwide. This is Jeremiah 16:19. O Yahawah, B'Hashem Yahushai, my strength and my fortress, and my refuge in the day of affliction. The Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit. Right? And that's ultimately what we're going to come up to, right? Because this truth is going to get so overly pushed out in the world, where it's going to be common knowledge that the true Israelites, the true people of the Bible, are in fact the Negro, Latino, Native Americans, right? And what that's going to do is it means that if we're the true Israelites, then the people who've been saying they were the true Israelites can't be the true Israelites, right? Now, like Apostle Tahar says, you know, Are some of those so-called Jewish people Israelites? Definitely. The scriptures say that there's going to be Israelites coming out of every nation, right? So there's going to be a small percentage of Israelites coming out of the so-called Jewish people, but the vast majority of them do not belong there, right? They're even under their own, faux science of DNA. They show that their ancestry goes back to the Ashkenazi, right? Which have no ties to the biblical Israelites, okay? So I just wanted to bring this out. Okay, I wanted to show you that Esau is starting to run out of places to hide, and he's being heckled, in venues which this really isn't even supposed to be a topic. But hey, the truth is being stirred up, and it's coming out, and it's falling upon Esau's head. So hopefully this video was edifying. I'll keep telling next time. I want to give all honor and glory and praises to Yahawah, Bashem Yahawashi, Bashem Qadash. Double honors to my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect. Shalom.